Well, having been left hanging after season 4, where Lazarus was raised from the dead and seeds of betrayal were forming, plus political tensions were heightening, I simply cannot wait to get back into watching The Chosen season 5 and feeling like one of the 12 myself.
Yeah, so of course we have the supreme privilege of being chatting to two of the disciples, Peter and Andrew, Shahar Isaac, Noah James. So good morning, guys.
The supreme privilege is ours. Good morning.
Oh, no, I disagree. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm surprised, though, that you're wearing a suit jacket, because normally you have your arms out on the season, holding up the...
Let me tell you, I cover it every chance I get. They know me. I'm Mr. Suit.
We cut his robes to be shorter and shorter before every season. He's requests for the length, but we're like, no, let's see the legs, you know.
Beautiful.
Well, that would explain the 128 million following, I imagine.
You said it.
Hey, I want to know first up from you guys, what's one of the biggest things that you guys have learned during this series? I mean, it's become something that you would have never anticipated. So, or maybe you did, I don't know. Maybe I'm selling you short. What's been the most mind-blowing, mind-expanding experience of this so far?
I think maybe, the fact that with kindness you can do anything, and that's how this show is created by its creators. Dallas, which runs this ship, really from day one has treated all of us and everybody behind this whole operation with the utmost kindness and respect. And it's intoxicating. We're all intoxicated by this. So we just want to do the best job that we can do, and it just inspires us to constantly create these human characters and bring this thing to life. And so I think that is the main thing. Like really everybody, everybody that comes on board suddenly jumps right in and is in that world immediately and wants to support it and wants to be as engaged as they can,
I feel like it's almost like being in a laboratory sometimes, being on our set, because when you get to work with such lovely people, honestly, and the cast, like Shahar, Liz, Jonathan, everyone that we get to work with.
But
everyone,
Shahar a little more than
but Shahar mostly. Of course. While we're on camera, of course.
Sure.
But everyone works
off
differently.
Camera, he doesn't talk to me. Off camera, he's like, I've been texting him for a year. I haven't received one
just
back.
Left on read the whole time, a whole bunch of messages, read no response.
Left on scene, I see the scene, but then I never see a response.
First of all, he doesn't text me. He texts my personal assistant. Okay, who then just doesn't give me the message. No, but really, everyone works in such a lovely, interesting, unique way. And so what I've learned is how to sort of be in this creative process in the moment, creating something, making it feel alive with all of these different artists. And there are a lot of us, a lot of the disciples around. We all work in a different way, and it's so fun to come together, and each scene feels like you're discovering it anew, because maybe it's one-on-one with someone that you haven't had that moment with before.
Yeah, well, let's talk about
I'm even thinking, in season 5, there was a moment with me and Austin where I was like, I don't know that we've actually sat and had a scene together, and we had so much fun. We were laughing the whole time and improvising. Dallas is throwing us improv lines, which never happens, and it's just really fun to discover that all fresh.
Well, I'd love to talk about that, the personality mix. And actually, when you look at the seasons and you see your characters unfold, I mean, Simon Peter seems to struggle with impulsivity, and John seems to struggle with fear, and James with confusion, and Andrew, like, you're dealing with grief, you've lost a friend. So we certainly see like a full spectrum of human emotions through it. So how do you guys see yourself in these characters?
Yeah, it's really every step has led to the next thing, so the way it's created and written, it's such a way that it's such a natural progression of life, and they were never shy from these dark moments that for us, it's every moment being resolved and going to the next moment. So it's almost like it's impossible to see it from the outside as a big picture, because one thing led to the other. And, impulsivity is part of it, and tragedy is part of it. And it's really something that I feel like it's every character is so unique, and such a full human being. And that's a real challenging thing, because it's a big cast. So to be able to create each character, to be able to write it in a way that will have its own, like no two characters are the same, and each character is so unique and has such an interesting arc that for me, I just feel like it's almost like to say it's life, it's messy, it's a lot of things. I can't see it from the outside because we're in it, and it keeps going into different directions, and and you get you need to be the leaders at a certain point, but then everything is starting to collapse this season. So yeah, it's one big confusing life, which is what it is. It's life.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like the intermixing, because we've been doing this now for years, 6 years. It feels like there is a mixing of human being and character, and when you put on the wardrobe and you're sitting there talking with your friends, there is a mix there. And even I remember after season 5, something came across the TikTok for me, and it was the TikTok.
You like the TikTok.
And I do, and it came across, and it was like a slideshow of photos showing this is what happened to the disciples afterwards. And it kind of hit me, and I look, and it was like, and then this disciple is martyred this way, and this disciple is martyred that way. And it was this weird mixing where it felt like it wasn't just showing this painting. I'm like, that in a way is Peter / Shahar. That in a way is, Thaddeus / Giovanni. And it was sort of like, I was like, okay, I have to leave this alone for a moment, because there is an intermixing, and we give our hearts to this story, and you can't separate it sometimes in that way.
Yeah, I'm fascinated actually to unpack what you mentioned there just in passing about improv, because I know what has resonated with the people so much is how real this is. And of course, we're still based on a true story that's got a pretty well documented history to it. So when you're talking about improv, like, what does that mean? I know there's going to be boundaries within how much you can and how much you can't. So what were the things you were getting thrown at you as improv lines, and what did you do with them?
We have one with us, but the one that I was mentioning was, not to spoil anything, but after one of the sort of tumultuous moments of this season, it's the disciples sitting in the middle of the night, kind of decompressing and going like, what was that? And so it was it's not from scripture, but it was a moment in between where you go, it's like 2 a.m., you're sitting up with your friends going like, did that really happen? So it was in that kind of moment. And we have had, we must talk about Mr. Pomegranate. Sometimes scenes, you think, let me add a little button to it. Yeah. And there's a scene in season 4 when Philip is teaching Matthew how to cut a pomegranate. And we say, what are you talking about? Like, you just kind of tear it up and eat it. And Nathaniel kind of bemoans our savagery in eating the pomegranate, and then we give him a hard time. And we were shocked that a lot of that made it into the cut.
Totally.
We were like, we're just improvising until they say cut, and yet it ended up in the show.
But the truth is that, look, the vast majority is, we're pretty, and there are some, some shows will have quite a lot of improv. This show does not have that much. It really is pretty true to the writing. And like the writing is very serious. But that being said, I think that there is something about, let's say, not the presentation of it. The way it's performed, and the idea behind this production is, this is a drama. This needs to be a good drama. It cannot just rely on the theme and the big story. It needs to be a good drama, and it wants to feel like it's natural. It wants to feel like it's real. It wants to feel like it's improvised. It wants to feel like it's not something that's been conjured up and weighed and orchestrated. So I think that's really the obsession and the drive in this production, that we're just trying to make it as real and as natural feeling as possible, that you can see yourself in it and you can relate to it on a personal level and not just be, there's no manipulation happening here. If you gave it a try and you watch the show, you'll see what you see on a drama, and you will see human beings dealing with life, and hopefully it will feel like something that looks like and feels like an improvisation,
Yeah, well, it's certainly very relational, and I think that's what helps bring the pages of scripture to life. The fact that usually you're used to reading it in black and white, but then all of a sudden you see these 12 different people coming together with all their annoying little habits and idiosyncrasies, which is where you're allowed to kind of improvise a bit. And then all of a sudden you see them working out life happening in front of their eyes, and them dealing with it, them coming to terms with this. So I want to ask you one more question if we have time, and that is, when it comes to season 5, where it's all kind of coming to a head, what scene for you personally was the most memorable to film? Which scene really kind of challenged you in a new way?
Yeah. I'll let you have it because you're gonna steal mine.
No,
So-
go ahead. I won't
no,
steal it. I
no,
promise.
you-
I have
no,
another
no, no.
one. I
No,
have
please,
another one.
Okay. I think honestly at the end of season 3, when we're
No, but from season 5, right?
no, I'm
that's
interpreting.
really-
Okay, I'll throw mine from season 5.
I'm taking my interpretation. I'm telling from season 3. So we had the walking on water. Really was such a surreal and real moment. We spent an entire week, more true to say, the nights of an entire week inside a boat in the middle of a huge tank in Louisiana. And with huge backdrop, like a stadium-sized backdrop, blue backdrop behind us, and there was a huge rain machine, and the sound of the wave machine just created this real storm. So we were kind of just lost in a reality for an entire week, sleeping during the days and coming to film during the night, and just lost in a reality, wet all the time, and kind of dealing with the real challenge of what it would be to be stuck in the water like that. So that's just like remembers like plays like a dream in my mind.
Yeah, that was a definite pinch me moment. I would say season 5, for me, one of the most memorable moments was walking in to the city, because it was actually kind of hard on the page to understand what it was, and so we knew, okay, we're going to come in, there's going to be crowds there and they're welcoming us into the city, but we did not know. And there were 600 background who are fans of the show who were there and just had the best time in the world. And when we started, we were like not even nearing the city yet. They were already chanting and singing and waving the palm fronds, and that was honestly quite humbling. It felt, as we walked up, they would even lay garments down on the floor for us to walk over, and that is, you just feel unworthy of that much adoration and love. And it was something so special, and the jubilation in that moment that we all as a group get to feel. And then sort of flipping it on its head, we know where the story's heading after that. And so while it was so filled with joy, we know that sort of can turn to pain quite quickly. And so that was very memorable.
Amazing. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and turn your notifications on so you don't miss the next video.
We'll see you in the next one.